I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's News Update. U.S. President Barack Obama will visit Israel in the next month or so, his first trip to the country as president. The White House confirmed the trip will take place in the spring and that the details were agreed to by Obama and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a phone call at the end of last month. Israel's Channel 10 referred to the date of March the 20th, although no official date has been given yet for the visit. White House spokesman Tommy Vietor said the start of the president's second term and the formation of a new Israeli government offered the opportunity to reaffirm the deep and enduring bonds between the United States and Israel and to discuss the way forward on a broad range of issues of mutual concern. Israel's Army radio reports that the IDF has placed an additional Iron Dome defense battery system in the northern part of the country on Tuesday, making it the third in the area. This comes amid growing tensions in the region and last week's report of an Israeli airstrike in Syria. Days before the airstrike, the IDF deployed 2 Iron Dome batteries to the north, including one moved to the greater Haifa area. Army radio said the movement of the third battery means that the largest number of Iron Dome systems have been deployed in northern Israel to date. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reacted on Tuesday to Bulgaria's findings on its investigation of the terror attack last year in Burgas that killed 5 Israeli tourists and a Bulgarian bus driver. As you may have seen on IBA News, the investigation found that Iran-backed Hezbollah was in fact behind the attack, something Israel has long said was the case. Netanyahu thanked the Bulgarians for their investigative work and said the findings are an additional confirmation to what we already know. Hezbollah and its patron Iran are running a global terror campaign across borders and continents. The Prime Minister also added that he hoped the Europeans would reach the necessary conclusions regarding Hezbollah's true nature, referencing continuing calls for the European Union to designate Hezbollah as a terror organization, something the United States did back in 1999. Well, EU Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton did respond to the investigation from Bulgaria, saying that EU member states are committed to the fight against terrorism, whoever stands behind it. Ashton said the implications of the investigation need to be assessed seriously as they relate to a terrorist attack on EU soil, which resulted in the killing and injury of innocent civilians. Meanwhile, several Jewish organizations have also renewed their calls for the EU to list Hezbollah as a terror group, including the World Jewish Congress, whose President Ronald Lauder is currently in Paris, leading an American Jewish delegation of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations. Lauder will meet tomorrow with French President Hollande and personally urge him to make the designation of Hezbollah as a terror group. The American Jewish Committee's Executive Director David Harris said the EU now has the opportunity to show full support for Bulgaria and in doing so to make clear that there is a high price to pay for murder. B'nai B'rith International President Alan Jacobs said too often members of the EU conveniently ignore the violence of Hezbollah and insist it is merely a political organization. Hopefully this report will strip Hezbollah of any claim of legitimacy and finally allow people to see it for what it is, a violent and dangerous terrorist organization. Criticism has been growing over a boycott, divestment, and sanctions, or BDS, forum coming up this week at Brooklyn College. Shalom TV President Rabbi Mark Golub addressed concerns over this latest attempt to delegitimize Israel in last week's In the News with Anti-Defamation League New York Regional Director Ron Meyer. While Scholars for Peace in the Middle East, or SPME, are now adding their voice, saying the BDS Forum is an effort to promote bigotry, prejudice, and hate against the Jewish state. The group released a statement denouncing the college's Department of Political Sciences co-sponsoring of the forum, calling it an abandonment of scholarly principles. The SPME says that the Political Science Department's faculty members have crossed a line in co-sponsoring such an event and should be held to account in terms of CUNY faculty bylaws. SPME, an international community of scholars committed to peaceful resolution to conflict in the Middle East, contends that the BDS movement is both intellectually flawed and contrary to the very real needs of the people of that region. And that BDS events like this one are one-sided attempts to demonize and delegitimize Israel. They are urging Brooklyn College to ensure that none of its academic units sponsor such an event. And that's Shalom TV's news update. I'm Teisha Bader.